Y2K. What a time to be alive. I too was around during Y2K. However, I wasn't out partying or worrying about computer systems malfunctioning, but I am a proud 90s child, proudly born in 1999.
Y2K is real!
So, Y2K seemed to be more of a comedy than a horror in my observation, so I thought that it was going to attract a decent amount of people. I feel like there's a decent fan base for silly, stupid humor with a hint of horror, but guys, I think I might have been wrong on this one. I went to see this movie at 5 p.m. on discount night, and for the first time this year, I was the only person in the theater. Usually there's at least 2 people or more, even in a matinee, even at a 9 a.m. movie, but this one, nope. Ghost Town. To be fair, there are a lot of really popular movies out right now, so it's easy to overlook this one, but from my evaluation, I don't think people were too hyped up for this one. But that's why you have me going to watch it, so you don't have to. So does Y2K deliver? Is it crazy, silly, nostalgic fun? Or does it try way too hard and end up being cringe as Let's talk about it. Y2K is an A24 movie that follows a group of high school students who attempt to essentially survive an apocalypse when the year 2000 causes all technology worldwide to come to life and turn against humanity. So the concept is pretty interesting. At least I think it's kind of fun. A ridiculous A24 movie about Y2K that ends up being man versus machine. Sounds like a decent movie, right? Right? So this movie is directed by Kyle Mooney in his directorial debut, written by both Mooney and Evan Winters, and produced by Jonah Hill. This leads me to my first negative of the movie. I unfortunately thought that this movie was directed rather poorly. I felt that the pace was a bit inconsistent. To be fair, we started off relatively well. We got introduced to our main character and his motives, but then we get to the part where most people I think were looking forward to, the big Y2K party, where we see the machines turn. And for me, this was super chaotic. It was rapidly over. It ended kind of right before it began. Then we spend the rest of the movie listening to unnecessary dialogue from characters that we don't care much about, encounters with machines that are less than exciting, and an ending that is relatively uninteresting. The main issue with the pace is that it expels all of the movie's energy in the Y2K party, and then it just ends up being a drag to the finish line throughout the rest of the movie, which is unfortunate. It does include some pretty interesting characters with some personality, but after the Y2K party and all is said and done, it chooses to follow the most boring ones for some reason for the rest of the movie, which was a mistake in my opinion. The character development is lacking throughout the movie, and when they do try to develop some of the characters through means of boring dialogue, it doesn't really work because this movie is supposed to be ridiculous and not taken seriously. So when they add those serious parts, it comes across boring and it takes at least me out of the movie for a bit. I didn't like it. There is some awkward line delivery in this movie. However, from what I can tell, I think they did do a decent job in emulating how teenagers would talk and type IMs to each other in the 90s with certain phrases and emoticon keyboard shortcuts. But humor-wise, I felt like they tried too hard, and while there are some funny moments, most of the humor is quite stupid, and it came across a little bit cringe, to be honest, in my opinion. This leads me to the cast of the film and the acting, which was extremely mid. Let's take a look. Kyle Mooney, mid. Rachel Zegler,
very mid.
Jaeden Martell, a little better than mid. Julian Dennison, mid. Eduardo Franco, a little better than mid. The Kid Laroi, mid. Alicia Silverstone, mid. Guys, there's only one character in this entire film that is exceptional. Fred Durst!
It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up!
Okay, Fred Durst is in this movie playing himself. He doesn't do exceptional by any means, but he was fun to see in this movie. A24 likes Fred Durst. I don't know why. He's been in a couple movies this year. He was in I Saw the TV Glow. For some reason, A24 likes Fred Durst, and maybe that's the reason why I like A24. But in all seriousness, this movie also has a lot of plot gaps and inconsistencies that are very blatant and, to be honest, really frustrating. For example, we see a character take a million swigs of alcohol, and then for the rest of the movie, the character seems 100% sober. We see someone get choked out and presumably pass out from it, and then when they're released, they're just all of a sudden fine. Literally no gasp. We get nothing. We see every single piece of technology come to life except for one video camera. Why? You never know. We see somebody tumble over in a porta potty, get shit all over themselves, seemingly wash their face off, but then they're just clean. Their bodies and everything else is clean for the rest of the movie. We see technology being very vigilant about killing and capturing people, and then in kind of the final scene, the characters approach them and they somehow don't notice them at all, and it was like the easiest way to get into the final setting ever. Okay, I could go on. Guys, I realize this movie isn't serious. I realize it's meant to be ridiculous, but honestly, there are a lot of issues here that I can't help but noticing. Okay. I've been pretty tough on Y2K, so let me end here with a few positives. I do think this movie will be nostalgic for a lot of people. While I can't necessarily relate to the feeling of Y2K, I do think they did a good job with some of the editing here. We see our main character writing IMs to his friends. We see the old computer software and GUIs. We see multiple shots through an old video camera lens, which is kind of cool. We see old toys, old computers come to life. I think some people will resonate with the visuals here, and I think some people will like the humor. Like I said, I think that it is stupid humor, but there's an audience for that. I'm personally not really that audience, and I didn't love it. There's also some references to some good music. I think that the soundtrack's pretty good. I like that. Of course, we have Limp Bizkit, Slim Shady, George Michael, some Slipknot. I think that the soundtrack represents the Y2K era pretty well, so I think that's also an area of nostalgia here, which some people might like. Overall, guys, this movie was not my favorite. From poor pacing, to basic characters, to mid-acting, to awkward line delivery, to plot holes, this movie is really not for me. Not to mention that this movie really lacks a clear message. At the end, they try to go for this whole, you guys were already slaves to technology, we're just making it official. But to be honest, this message is very poorly integrated into the film and doesn't really come across. So while I like A24, but Y2K ain't it. I will give this one a 2 out of 5. The movie has some fun parts with a decent nostalgic concept and soundtrack, but apart from that, it does indeed try too hard with the humor, in my opinion, and come across a little cringe. But let's see what the general consensus is. Oh, oof. 2.3 average audience rating. Okay, there's only 147 ratings here. 44% Rotten Tomatoes. Thank gosh, I was thinking, I don't know, you guys know I never look at the ratings before I do my review. I was kind of worrying that I was going to be in the minority here. Thank goodness I'm not. Because honestly, I think that humor does resonate with a lot of people. For me, it doesn't at all, but I thought that maybe some people would find like some sort of fun in it. What can I say? So guys, I would recommend skipping this one. If you are really interested in it, I would personally recommend waiting until it comes out to streaming. But for my friends that grew up during this era and remember Y2K well, you might have fun with this one. I can't relate to it as well as you guys, but for me, I did not want that dopeness. So it's a no for me. But what do you guys think? Do you guys disagree? Do you agree? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear, and catch me next time. Peace.